There's a lot to be said for an upmarket hatchback combining the comfort and the kit of a luxury car with the agility, the economy and the lower price of a hatch. Audi, BMW and now also Mercedes-Benz are among the key contenders.
So the premium compact segment has become slightly more important with people having to buy down lately.
Yes, but it still means that people can buy premium cars, as you see around us. Very fancy, well equipped, and not exactly cheap either.
No, and there's been two manufacturers, BMW and Audi, that have been at it for a while. And all of a sudden, Mercedes-Benz have realised, oh, there's part of the action to be had.
Exactly. So, new A-Class is obviously creating quite a stir. A lot of people thinking, that's the car for me. But of course, it is just simply the latest entrant in the premium hatchback segment, which has been around for quite some time.
So now we've got all three together to find out which one of them is the best.
We've assembled what we consider the mainstream variants of the three nameplates. The 5-door A180 Blue Efficiency is the most talked about car here. It has 5 doors, a luxury cabin, athletic looks and a lively 90 kilowatt 1.6 litre turbo engine. The Audi A3 Sportback is the 1.4 TFSI model. More elegant than funky, the 5-door hatch features a premium interior and a 90 kilowatt 1.4 litre turbo petrol engine.
The BMW 116i M Sport is slightly more powerful at 100 kilowatts, and BMW could only give us a 3-door, but we'll still be able to evaluate the essence of the car against its rivals. So, spec and prices closely matched, our three contenders square up for what promises to be an intriguing battle.
3 hatchbacks, 3 brands, 3 very different styling approaches, and all of them relatively sporty.
I think the A3 is probably the least sporty of the lot. It's taken a much cleaner, much simpler design approach. And for me, it's one that makes the biggest impression.
Yes, although maybe that's from an enduring point of view, because the car that's turning heads at the moment, of course, the A-Class.
It is, and it's the most aggressive looking one. It's got the most attitude, but somehow, for me, it doesn't quite make as big a statement. It's, from a lot of points of view, it's quite generic looking.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why, of course, they've gone with that big sort of front end, which is very much Mercedes-Benz. Looks almost like they've taken a bigger car's grille and slapped it on the front. But if you took that away, it would end up being, as you say, quite generic. It could be any hatchback.
Yep. And the one series that we've got is the 2-door. There is a 4-door available.
Yes, and of course certainly looks the sportiest of the bunch, mainly because it is an M Sport model, so it has the add-ons and the slightly bigger wheels, and it has the attitude. I suppose aesthetically, again, and one has to say that it's a personal preference scenario as well, but it has a bit of a bug-eyed look from the front.
And that's true, it's been out for a while, but it's still not a look that I'm quite used to.
Yeah, I have to say I quite like it, but I agree with you that when it gets to the kind of car that is still going to look good 10 years from now, probably the A3 is going to win that prize.
What we can say about these hatches is that all three have a distinctive personality, with the front ends in particular placing a lot of emphasis on brand identity. As a result, they also underscore their premium status. Probably the easiest way to bring across the premium feel is in the interior, and all three of these cars have got very well-spec'd cabins.
That they do, and of course very different approaches to their cabin design as well, and as far as practicality is concerned, very different as well.
Yeah, exactly. So the BMW, for example, is the more sporty option, but it's compromised in rear space and it's slightly smaller than the others.
Then you can look at the Audi, for instance, which some people feel is a bit bland and understated, but in fact ergonomically is quite superb.
And the A-Class has got a very well-packaged interior that's slightly more contemporary than things we've been used to from Mercedes-Benz.
In fact, the A-Class has the best interior that Mercedes has come up with in a long time. It's smart, modern and distinctive. The BMW's layout is driver-focused and ergonomically involving, but rear-wheel drive compromises packaging. And the Audi cabin is smart and functional with lots of clever tech, but maybe too minimalist for some.
Interior design apart, it's the way the three hatchbacks conduct themselves dynamically that will be one of the big talking points amongst potential buyers in this category. In tech terms, you'll find some similarities in the approach between the brands here too.
One of the overriding trends in modern car design at the moment is the movement to smaller capacity engines with turbochargers, and that's very much the case here.
Yep, all our engines are turbocharged, all with very similar spec, the BMW being slightly more powerful than the others.
Interestingly, the Audi has got the smallest engine at 1400cc, but because the car is the lightest here, it has the best power-to-weight ratio.
And the other trend we're seeing is in gearboxes, where traditionally they've been automatics, and those have been changed now for dual clutch setups.
So, on the mechanical front, our three contenders are closely matched with similar outputs from compact four-cylinder engines, all of them featuring an inline layout as well as advanced turbocharging. The A-Class is the only car here with a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, and the BMW is the most powerful with 100 kilowatt and 220 newton meters on tap, while the Audi has the best power-to-weight ratio, which should make it the most efficient.
BMW's four-cylinder mill achieves its maximum output of 100 kilowatts at just 4,400 RPM, and the torque peaks at an equally low 1,340 RPM.
It might be the smallest engine in this comparison, but the Audi's 1.4-litre unit still delivers 90 kilowatt with 200 newton meters at just 1,400 RPM. The 6-speed manual gearbox is a good choice here.
It's badged 180, but the A-Class engine is actually a 1.6-litre unit with the same output as the Audi, although the torque peak arrives earlier. The 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox is high-tech.
When it comes to ride and handling, the three cars feel quite different though. The A3 is balanced and smooth with ample feedback. The A-Class feels more neutral and less compliant, making it jittery on poor surfaces. And the BMW lives up to its sporty reputation with its entertaining and engaging road manners.
Of course, being a premium car means they need more than fancy looks and a good interior. They need to have good active and passive safety systems and good driving technology.
Yes, I think that's very important for buyers in this league. They definitely expect a lot of their vehicles on that level. And of course, when it comes to these three, they have all those passive and active systems. They have ABS brakes, they have traction and stability control, and they have all the airbags you'd want.
And when it comes to driving technology, the A3 is probably the most basic of the lot with just start-stop technology.
Yes, you look at the BMW, that places a lot more emphasis on technology from an efficiency perspective. It has an Eco Pro system, which places the emphasis very much on economy, and it also has brake regeneration, which recharges the battery.
And the Mercedes-Benz takes things one step further with a collision avoidance system that's available as part of the package.
The BMW is surprisingly efficient given all that power. The quoted combined cycle fuel consumption figure is 5.4 litres per 100 kilometres.
The Audi, as expected, is the most frugal, but not by much, with a claimed consumption of 5.3 litres per 100 kilometres. By comparison, the Mercedes is the thirstiest, although 5.7 litres per 100 kilometres is still admirable. Important to note, however, is that the real-world consumption of all three cars will be significantly higher. Expect between 7 and 8 litres per 100 kilometres across the board.
So let's talk dynamics, which is obviously a very important element of a car's appeal, and quite closely matched, Spike.
In terms of power output, yeah, they're basically the same as each other. Top speeds are all around the same mark, 0 to 100 times around the same. So on paper, they are very, very similar.
But the BMW has the edge. We already knew that in terms of its dynamic character. It has the most powerful engine, and therefore it is also the quickest car here. The only car, in fact, to dip under the 9 seconds mark for the 0 to 100. The rest all in the low 9s.
By comparison, the A3 is not obviously the most powerful, but it seems the most well-balanced, and I think that's got a lot to do with the fact that it is the lightest car. It's got the best power-to-weight ratio.
Certainly the lightest, feels agile, feels nimble, just feels comfortable, I guess, in most situations where the BMW you need to drive with a bit more verve to really enjoy and to realize what it's about.
As far as the A-Class goes, I think it's let down just a little bit by its dual-clutch gearbox, but seems to kind of blunt the performance a little bit.
I think in total, though, we have to say that these three cars, despite their small engines and despite the fact that they're not really performance models, actually are quite impressive dynamically.
While the three cars are very closely matched in straight-line performance terms, the BMW is easily the quickest here, making the most of its extra urge. The A-Class is marginally faster than the Audi and the Sprint, although the two are almost identical in top speed terms. And as we've already mentioned, the differences in fuel consumption are also small.
However, the trio's on-road personalities are completely different, especially since the BMW is rear-wheel drive. The 116i is unashamedly sporty. The Mercedes has a good chassis, but one that is easily unsettled under duress. The ride lacks both the real feedback of the BMW and the finesse of the Audi.
We'll be back with part 2 of our hatchback comparison after the break. Plus, a Peugeot 208 1.2 Active becomes the latest member of our long-term test fleet.